So in this video, we will have a closer look at this Stream Deck. This is the 512 GB variant, the one with the matte screen, and I bought it in Europe, and it was just shipped to me today, or I received it today as of recording this video here. And today it is the 21st of April, 2022, of course. So this is what you get. Nice brown box, and in this video we will of course unbox it, set it up and have a first impression of this device here. Nothing really special around the box here, just a brown cardboard box. You do get a few serial numbers here and other numbers that I of course will cover for this video on the right side. And on the bottom side we do have a little battery warning there, because yeah, this has of course a lithium-ion battery inside. Other than that, we of course just have it sealed here with packaging tape. So let's just unbox it, cut it open, and let's open the lid here. First off, we are met with all kind of different languages here. I'm not really sure what it says though. Probably thank you or something like that. Let me know down in the comments. And in the box itself, we do get a little attention here. So you need to plug it in before you power it on. So that's of course a nice thing to know. So of course I will do that. On the other side here, to get a quick start instruction there, I guess. Micro SD slot down here. We do have a Steam button to, I believe, open up all of your games or apps or whatever. And also another button here where you can set up multiple functions of your Steam Deck. Like you can lock the refresh rate of this device here. Inside the box, of course, when I have this Steam Deck, I believe you do get a little bit different case if you buy the big model that I have here. Like I said, I have the 512 GB variant. The reason mainly not only to get the 512 GB storage, but also to get the matte screen. I really do like matte screen, and I would definitely like to pay a little bit extra for that. But anyways, let's just get out all of the stuff here out of the box, and let's just get rid of the box and have a closer look at the accessories first. So we get this little white box here. I think it might be the charger. Let's just have a closer look. And surprise, surprise, we do have a European style charger, of course, here. Like I said, I did buy this in Europe because I live in Europe. And this is a Chicone power adapter, or AC adapter, a relatively high quality one. And it is a 45 watt power adapter. So of course, if you want to use some other adapter, make sure it does have at least 45 watt. And it is USB Type-C in the other end here, which is fantastic because I have a lot of USB Type-C devices. So I only really need to bring one charger if I travel for my Steam Deck and my laptop and smartphone. Very nice. And it is a relatively compact adapter as well. Below the adapter, we do get a little bit of paperwork. Let's see if we can get it out actually. Relatively thick paperwork there. Health and safety, maintenance, regulatory, and limited warranty agreement information. Of course, you'll need to read this carefully. Not really, but yeah, they have to include these, and yeah, many different languages as well. Let's remove this box here and bring the main device here into the frame. Initially, when this was announced, I was kind of excited to get it. Of course, I pre-ordered it back when you could do so. It took quite a long time to get my pre-order through because the site just kept going down or breaking down. But eventually I managed to get a pre-order through. But once I got the email that it was ready to order, I was a little hesitant actually, because I don't really game that much anymore. And other handhelds I've had, mainly the Nintendo Switch, I've had few of those. Ended up just not using them after a few months and ended up just selling them. So I'm not really sure if I will use this actually, other than of course the first few months when it's brand new and shiny. So I'm kind of curious to test it out and see if I will use this a little bit more, because you have access to the, I believe, most of the Steam library, but Steam or Valve's goal is to make all games available on the Steam Deck. I hope that will happen, and I hope that the Steam Deck will also be a successful device, so that Valve will keep improving the firmware and software and games and so on for this device here, so it won't just be like a one-time thing and they will kill it off like they have done with the other devices throughout the years. But the ability to play AAA games on a device like this, it is a little enticing to me, and I really do like handheld gaming as well. We do have some serial numbers here in the bottom that I will not show you, but other than that, let's just get into this and have a closer look. So this is definitely sealed, as you can see here, with a little valve seal on the zipper here. So that's pretty nice actually, so you're 100% sure it's brand new. Also, if you buy this out of any kind of reseller or scalper of anything like that, you can always see it is sealed here if you want to have a brand new one. But other than that, this little cardboard here you can actually just remove like so. But there is also a pull tab here if you kind of want to pull it off instead, or destroy this one instead. I'm not really sure why you would do so. And other than that, you get this nice box here. I believe, like I said, the 512GB variant have a little bit nicer box than the rest of the series. And like I said, also that matte screen is definitely a big seller for me, or a reason for me to get this one. I have a little carry handle here. And on the back side, you actually get a little pouch here. I suspect this is for the charger. So you could probably just put your charger in here, like so, or something like that, and put it in the back side here. I'm not really sure if this is what they would want me to use this little bag for, but you could kind of squeeze the charger in there, or you could put it on a car seat, or yeah, I'm not really sure what else you could put this one on, but yeah, nice little design aesthetics. And you could probably put some cables and stuff underneath here as well in the sides, because yeah, there is room for something extra there. Other than that, you of course get a zipper all the way around here, so you can open it up completely. Only really the last part here of course doesn't have a zipper. And that brings us to the last part here. Let's just break the seal, pull it off, or nah, I think you need to break it. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it will go anywhere. So let's just cut it off here. And ta-da! We do have a Stream Deck in here. And right off the bat I can see that matte screen. Definitely a lot less glare. But I believe you also lose a little bit of contrast, maybe also a little bit of color. But compared to like a smartphone here, you can see a lot of glare on the screen. This is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. You can see my lights there reflect very easily off the screen, versus this one here is definitely better. Of course, shouldn't really play it with light shining down towards the device like this. It is a backlit screen, so let's just move the Steam Deck out of the way. I keep on saying Stream Deck, but Steam Deck is a little bit strange name, especially when there is another device called Stream Deck. And Steam Deck, you get a little microfiber cloth here. Of course, Steam Deck, excuse me, branded. And that's pretty much it for the casing. I believe it feels like it's double-sided here. It could have a little bit of an opening or a little bit of a gap. So there's not really any room for like a micro SD card or other accessories like headphones and so on. Only really for the Steam Deck. And there's a little leash there. I believe you need to put the Steam Deck on top of that. And you can kind of pull it to get it out of the case. Okay, nice little touch there. But other than that, definitely very high quality case. It is a hard case as well. But I feel like they could have maybe left a little bit of a room to, yeah, like I said, have some accessories in there. So let's get rid of the case and let's bring the main device into shot here. So first impression, holding this device, definitely do feel higher quality than I would have imagined. Like you do feel it is plastic, but it feels very sturdy. And buttons feels very good actually. Kind of surprised me a little bit. And not as big as I would have imagined. Like of course I've seen a lot of videos about this Stream Deck and images online, but you never really know once you get it in your hand how it feels or how big it is in your hands. But definitely feels like it is just the right size, not too thick and not too skinny. I do like that it has some ergonomics here on the grips, so you can get a very good grip, very secure grip. Something I was missing a little bit on my Nintendo Switch. Not the most ergonomic one, but of course you can get some third-party grips and attach that to the Switch. Very nice shoulder buttons actually. At least the trigger buttons there feels very nice and tactical. Less so with the top shoulder buttons here, but all buttons feels very nice also on the front. And thumbstick there, it feels nice. And of course we have those touchpads and those two buttons here. Yeah, definitely doesn't feel as great, not that much response in these buttons. I have also heard other people complaining about that. And you have front firing stereo speakers here. Of course, perfect placement. Let's have a closer look here at the right side. Of course, we have those standard X, Y, A, B buttons. A little menu button here, thumbstick that can also be clicked in, touchpad, and you have that button for more features or settings. So you can lock it to 30 FPS, and I believe you can screen capture or at least do screenshots and so on. Right speaker here, of course, we have that nice matte screen right out the bat. I really like that. You have the left side here, of course, the left speaker, the Steam button, another touchpad. Of course, same exact joystick button here, with clicky function. Another button on top here, I'm not really sure what that does. And of course, you do have the standard D-pad there that actually feels very responsive. On the top left here, of course, you have the trigger buttons, which feels very nice. And on top of that, you have the shoulder buttons, the L1. Feels a little cheap, actually. That's probably the worst feeling buttons right out of the bat. You definitely know when you press it, but yeah, it feels a little plasticky. You have volume up and down here. You also have a headphone jack. Of course, an exhaust, because this does have an active cooling fan built in. You have the only USB-C port connection on the whole device here. I really wish that Steam would include another USB Type-C. Would have been nice to see something in the bottom maybe. USB Type-C in the bottom and one in the top, or just some poker pins in the bottom. Like for instance, this Samsung tablet here. You can see some poker pins for a dock on this Samsung tablet. It would have been nice if Steam Deck would have something like that in the bottom of the device, so you can just plug it in, it will charge and also connect to your TV. A little unfortunate they only have that one USB Type-C plug, but there is a LED next to it, power button of course, and right trigger or shoulder buttons. Feels very nice, except for the R1 button here. It feels a little plasticky. On the back, of course, nicely ergonomic grips. Ergonomic grip feels very, very nice in the hand. Of course, you do have a micro USB slot here, so you can expand your storage even further. And I believe micro USB or micro SD, excuse me, is actually rather quick. Also loading games off. Not that much slower than the built-in SSD in this device here. Inside the grip, we do have R4 and R5 here on the right side, and they feel very nice as well. And we do have an intake here for the fan, of course, to suck in cool air. On the left side, we do have the L4 and L5 button, of course, exactly the same as on the other side. And we do have a lot of screws on this device here. You can take it apart and you can pretty much service it yourself, which is a very big thumbs up. Change batteries, clean the fan, exchange the storage for something bigger, or just do maintenance and repair to the thumbstick, for instance. If they break, you can change those out. So definitely I like that aspect of this device here, that you can fix it yourself. So first impression actually surprised me a little bit. Feels much better than I would actually have thought. It is a little bit on the heavy side, and it is also a big device. I don't have my Nintendo Switch anymore, so can't really compare to that, but I do have a few other older legacy handheld devices. So you can see here next to the original PS Vita, the OLED version, the thicker version, and you can see much bigger, of course, in every dimension. Also next to a iPhone 13 Pro Max here. It is much bigger. The 13 Pro Max is even smaller than the entire screen of this device. 3DS, of course, in its closed position, but once you open it up, still is just so much smaller than the Steam Deck. And with the Steam Deck, you're up in the small tablet territory, like this Samsung tablet here. And even it is wider than that, but not as tall, of course, but you are kind of pushing into tablet territory with the Steam Deck. But anyways, let's just actually plug it in. So the cable on this charger here is not really the longest cable. I wish that they would have included like a 2 meter or 3-meter cable or something like that with a device like this. But you can of course just use whatever kind of 45 watt or higher rated USB Type-C charger. I'll just use the one that I have with my other computers. For instance, for my MacBook, you can use this one here. Or yeah, any kind of USB Type-C charger that can deliver enough wattage. And then the only thing to do is really to just plug it in. You see immediately it starts lighting up here. I heard a sound. Let's try and turn it on. See if anything happens. Okay, it did turn on. First try here. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of firmware we have on this one here. Software rather. You can of course also install Windows on this device, but yeah, I'm not gonna do that. And also just noticed actually there is a few microphone holes up here. Does seem to have stereo microphones built in. I guess for voice chat or whatever when you are actually gaming online. Does take quite a long time to actually start up. Do I have to do something? I had to press the button, so just sitting here waiting forever. And you can see a lot of different languages. I will set it up just in English here for the sake of this video, but a lot of languages or most languages should be covered here. And do we have to press A to select? Yeah. And of course set your time area or your time zone. Central Europe time. This is me. And of course set up Wi-Fi is the next thing here. Does support 5 GHz Wi-Fi, so that's nice. Let's just go down to this one here. And I will just type in my password. Let's try and hit connect. Let's see how long it takes to connect to Wi-Fi network. It didn't take long. Continue, checking for updates. Of course, there is a new update. I believe we'll see a lot of updates for this device here. The first time it's around, fixing all kinds of bugs. It still is kind of in beta state. I don't know if you can hear it, but I just heard the fan kick in. Definitely a noticeable fan, but not something that will drive me crazy. At least my first impression. It doesn't seem to have any kind of high-pitched noise. I don't know if you can hear it, but this is of course the fan running. Okay, update finished. Guess we have to type in a language again. Okay, it did remember my Wi-Fi. And of course we need to log into a Steam account. I already have a Steam account, so I will of course just log in. But if you don't have an account, of course you need to create one. Of course, if you use two-factor authentication, you need to of course type in those here as well. I always recommend using two-step authentication if you can on all your devices. Definitely the best security you can get. Your Steam Deck reservation expires in less than a minute. I'm kind of using this deck right now. I have not pre-ordered any more than this one. Anyways, let's just close this window. Nothing happens when I press the button there. You can see it's just tell me to use touch. But anyways, I already purchased mine, so don't need another one. So I guess we need to close this one as well. Go back, use touch, just a black screen. Let's try and press the Steam menu. Okay, we're at the store right now. Why don't we see anything? Okay. I will just have to reload. Of course, there is a separate menu here for Great on Deck. So I believe the goal is to optimize all of the games for the Steam Deck. But as of now, of course, you can still run into quite a bit of issues with some games. But just to be able to play those AAA titles in very good quality, definitely I'm going to try that out. I have a few games. I'm not really that big of a Steam gamer, so let's just see what I actually have in my library right now. Like Death Stranding, I never played that game and I really want to play it, so I think that's the game I will focus on the Steam Deck here. Wait a minute, it does take up 63 GB. Can we actually see anywhere if it is compatible with Steam Deck? Okay, so Steam Deck compatibility verified. That's quite nice that we can actually see that the game is supposed to run on Steam Deck. So let's try and install this game here. And let's see how long it takes to actually install 63.74 GB. I do have a 1 gig connection, but of course I'm connected with Wi-Fi. So speed may be a little bit slower than that, maybe closer to 500 megabytes per second throughput. And can we actually see how fast we're downloading? Okay, we can see here, it's running something in the background. Proton, okay, several different kinds of updates. So let us just complete those. And now we got to this Stranding, starting download. Okay, around 60, 62 megabytes, 64 megabytes per second. Actually up to 66 megabytes per second right now. That's not bad at all, and that will take around 15 minutes to install a game like this. This is also a very large game, of course. Let's try and hit the settings button here, or the one with 3 dots, and see if we can actually go brighter for the screen. So we are right on the edge of the maximum brightness. Of course, I do have a lot of studio light going down to this device right now, so let's try and actually turn some of that off so you can see the screen a little bit better. And let's just let it download this game. Like I said, it takes around 14 minutes to download as of now. I don't know if you can hear, but the fan definitely spun up quite a bit when downloading this game and installing it. I guess the SSD also get quite hot when doing so. Okay, so Death Stranding finally finished. You can see it did peak at around 79.3 megabytes per second, which is pretty fast actually. And I also noticed there's a little icon up there with an asterisk. So let's just get into settings here and let's see what that's all about. And while we're here, just go through the settings menu. Of course, you can set your language here, your clock. I do use 24-hour clock, so I will enable that. And you can see all of his features here, what kind of Proton you use. Of course, you need Proton to be able to emulate PC games on Linux, which is what this runs. Underneath, you can see there is a software update here, which is the reason for that little asterisk you see up here with the gear icon. So I checked it 23 minutes ago. Update available for Steam clients. So is that the software? And you can also set it to stable or beta channel if you want to have newer or latest and greatest software in here. Of course, you can insert an SD card. I probably will do so at some point, but for now, I'll just use the built-in storage and hostname Steam Deck and so on and so on. You can see, of course, OS build here, kernel version. You can kind of see the BIOS version here as well. Steam version, Steam build date, client, CPU vendor. Of course, we have an AMD CPU in here. 4 cores, 8 threads, 15 gigabytes of memory. What does it seem to have here? I believe it's 16 gigabyte, but something is just probably using a little bit of resources there. Okay, yeah, the VRAM is 1 gigabyte. So the VRAM is dedicated to 1 gigabyte, but I believe it can use some of that 15 gigabyte as well. And of course, you can do a factory reset here. Because internet, you do have Wi-Fi only. I'm not really sure if you can use LAN dongles with this one here. But of course, if you have a dock for this, which is something that Steam is going to put out in the future, but I suspect you can use any kind of USB Type-C dock. You can of course just use wired USB, or at least hopefully you can use wired USB if you want to dock it in and connect it to your TV or a monitor. A bit faster than Wi-Fi. And of course, notifications, you can set up what kind of notifications you want to receive here. Display, I've set the brightness to maximum. You can of course also disable adaptive brightness, so it will go even brighter than that. Let's actually do that for this video here, because I have kind of tuned my cameras to my studio light. So we need to get some pretty bright light going here. And night mode, I'm not quite sure if it does. Okay, it does remove some of the blue light off the screen, which is a fantastic feature if you want to game at night, so it don't ruin your night or your ability to go to sleep afterwards. You can also set how warm the night light should be here. So definitely want to leave it on the warmest settings you can handle, or you can kind of get used to, because that makes it easier to go to sleep afterwards. I like that feature. Advanced view. Okay, you can set your own color scheme there. Nice. Dim display. Of course, this is just the default setting, so 15 minutes when plugged in, 5 minutes when not plugged in, 1 hour sleep, 15 minutes when not plugged in. Audio settings here. Of course, set the audio for your volume and the voice separately. You can have UI sound as well. Bluetooth devices. Very nice. You can connect the Bluetooth headphones to this, but you also have a headphone jack on top, so you can use wired headphones, which is kind of nice. And of course, for the controller or the built-in controller here, you can have enable, disable rumble and haptics when going through the system here. And of course, we do have the keyboard there, friend chat, download region. Yeah, I live in Denmark here, so that's right. Schedule updates, display download rate, family. Don't have any family in here. Remote play. So I could probably use my Apple TV, for instance, to play on my TV and remote play from this one here, I believe. So if I have an active game running on this device, I can stream it to my TV and play there. I'm not really tried that, but you can use Steam Link. I'm probably gonna try that in the future. Storage, of course, I did install Death Stranding, so takes up around 64 gigabytes of storage. Right now, I only have like 388 gigabyte available. So let's see how long that will last, but I don't plan to play only AAA titles. I will play, of course, other indie games and smaller games and so on this device as well, which is also one of the reasons why I wanted to get this. Home settings here, show personalized store content, and also watch new settings. And then we have the library here where you can add your game. Okay, so you can, if you have a promotion code, you can enter it here. Anyways, let's just get up and have a look at that update there. Apply system update. Congratulations, you get one of the first Steam Decks off the factory floor. This being the case, the system software, specifically the Steam Deck BIOS, requires an update. This update will take place on a technical looking sideways screen. But don't worry, this is completely normal. Just let it do its thing and you'll be on your way to improving Steam Deck experience. Future updates won't look like this. Okay, I believe this because this is the first batch coming from the factory. You have a little bit of a different update screen, so we just want to give you a little bit of a heads up so you don't think that you break your device or something like that. And that's the side screen they were talking about. So you only really see that if you have pre-ordered it or if you get from the first batch. Future updates shouldn't really look like this, so that's always nice to know. Okay, firmware update finished. Let's just go in and see if we are now running the latest and greatest system here. Check for updates. So we're up to date now. That's nice. Of course, we run the stable channel. And let's just get into the actual Steam Deck software here first off. Let's see what the 3-dot button here does. So you do have your notifications here. And right off the bat, I haven't really seen too much about the Steam Deck. I've seen a few reviews, but I have not really seen any in-depth videos going into the menu structure or anything like that. So I want to go into this open-minded or not really knowing the full range of settings. I like to figure out things myself. So I do apologize as we go along here if there is something I am not really educated about, because I will kind of just figure out as we go. But I believe the game rumble, it was enabled before, now it is disabled. But anyway, here from here you can go and set up airplane mode and disable Wi-Fi and so on. And I believe you can also set different kind of game modes when you're inside a game. This is here actually frame rate limiter. So you can limit your frame rate to like 30 FPS if you want to, of course, conserve some battery life. And also, so the fan won't really run as loud. And you have like the performance overlay here. So you can see a lot of information about your gameplay, like frames per second, CPU and GPU utilization. Let's just keep that on 4 for now. No frame rate limiter. Thermal power design limiter. Limit your process power for less total power. I'm not going to do that as of now. GPU clock control. So okay, you can set your clock frequency. It's kind of like all these features here. Of course, I just need to spend more time actually tweaking everything. So for now, I'll just keep it as stock as possible. Of course, you can use FSR to render it in a lower resolution and then use upscaling to get close to the same quality level, but at the expense of hopefully more frames per second. Let's just keep it at the default for now. Show performance overlay in Steam. Okay, we can actually see it all the time. Let's just enable that actually. And we have some diagnostics here. Time to full charge. This is of course all battery settings. And we do have a help section here as well. The menu button here will just take it to the menu settings for that specific app or whatever you have highlighted, I suppose. Let's go to properties here. You can of course set up cloud gaming and so on. And the other button up here, I don't think it does anything unless you're inside the game. The touch control here, you can use it to just touch on the edges there, just like the D-pad. Not to scroll up and down, left and right. Of course you can select something, I suppose. No, you cannot select with it. Okay, but you can press it down and you get a haptic feedback. Feels a little strange. I don't know if you can hear it, but definitely some haptic feedback. Not too bad, really. But I prefer just using the D-pad. And of course you can use the touch screen as well. Let's just remove that overlay for now, because it is getting a little bit in the way. And just have it in when playing games. And speaking of games, let's just get into, there's of course home, we have library, we have store, friends, chat, media, downloads, settings and power. But let's just get into store and see if there's any good deals. Great on deck, so Euro Truck Simulator 2. This is a fantastic deal. I've never played The Witcher, Wild Hunt, or any of the Witcher game. And it is a relatively old game by now, but I think this will actually work quite well on a device like the Steam Deck. Let's just add this one to the cart and I will purchase it for myself. And let's just see how easy it is to go through the purchase process here. Already have my card saved within Steam Deck, so I just need to type in my security code, press this button. Okay, apparently I have to press the physical button. So I just bought a game that was relatively easy to do. I'm not going to install it right now, but you can of course go in here and look at your library, and it's The Witcher Wild Hunt there is now a part of my library. Is there a fast way to go home, or maybe hold the Steam Deck button here? What happens if I hold it? Okay, so you get some shortcuts here, but there's no way to go home. But of course you need to press the button here and select go back to the store if you want to go back to the store, for instance here. And let's just see if there's any other great deals. So yeah, I suspect there is a lot of great deals when there's a brand new device like this coming out. A lot of game developers of course want to resell their older games and so on. So I suspect you can do a lot of good deals. For now I'll just try and play whatever I have in my library, but it's quite nice to see all of those AAA games actually available on a small device like this. And maybe it will make me play a game a little bit more. As of now I only really play first-person shooters. I don't really have any consoles other than my old PS Vita and 3DS and so on. Don't really use those at all. I don't have a PlayStation or an Xbox. I have a PC, and for some reason I never really got into like open world games playing on PC. On PC I only really play with a mouse and keyboard, and I play first person shooters. And I'm not really that great at that. So I hope this one, like with the built-in controller and everything, I can play on the couch in the evening when my wife is watching TV and just relax. I hope that I will get into some more open world games with this one here. Maybe even some racing games. But yeah, definitely a lot of great games available. Let's get back to the home library. And let's just see if we can actually see what I have installed. Oh, I have to go into library, of course. And you can go up here and filter it by installed games, all my games. Apparently I have 29 games, some very, very old Half-Life games. I suspect you can also actually play like strategy games on this one here, because it does have the built-in mouse. Not really sure how well it will work actually. Maybe want to try that in the future. And it seems to be also Steam Deck compatible. Nice. Do also have Doom apparently. Hell Let Loose. Portal as well. I never played Portal other than the first few rounds. I really want to play that game. I've heard so many great things about it, but never really got into it for some reason. But again, playing on a handheld like this, don't have to turn on my TV and Xbox or PlayStation or turn on my full-fledged PC. I can just like sit back in the couch and game or something like this. I hope really that will make me play a lot of those games. And of course the Witcher Wild Hunt, I just bought that. I have the Turing test apparently as well, and does have a little eye there, so it's playable, but it's not really optimized for the Stream Deck. It's nice that we can actually see that it's optimized or not before we install a game. But anyways, let's try and get into Death Stranding here. Never played it. I believe I opened it maybe on my PC at some point, but other than that, I never played it. I got it included with a graphics card, and also just test here how long it will actually take to open a game like this. This is a very big game, so probably close to worst case scenario on a device like this. And we do get the in-game, of course, overlay here. And let's just test our settings, or confirm our settings. Performance overlay, of course, I have frame rate limiter set to 60 Hz. I don't have any of the thermal power designed or manual GPU clock enabled. I don't have any scaling filters applied as of yet. I might try that if I can't really get close to 60 FPS in this game. And right off the bat, we do see some of the limitations of a Stream Deck here. I believe you can hold one button and you can click another to zoom in. Okay, so Steam button and left one, you need to hold those two to zoom in. Let's try that now. Okay, not really sure I like that combo. Okay, it's okay. It's just the left one button, doesn't feel all that great, but you can zoom in and you can kind of get a little bit closer here. And of course you cannot really use the device while doing so. You can only really zoom in, and you can of course use your mouse there to scroll around a little bit. Actually, the mouse feels very responsive. I really like it. So I guess there's an update there. And apparently I have not played a game as of yet. Okay, supports autosaving. Let's just go easy here. And change text size. Let's just set it to large because of this small screen here. Apparently there's new additions to content found. Okay, but this is my first time playing this game. Level 1, level 3, and so on. Okay, armor plates. Just the brightness so that the image on the right can be seen, but the image on the left cannot. Yeah, something like this. Birthday, I am from March. Yes, confirm. There's a lot of confirms and clicks here just to get into the game. And you can see here the FPS, it is 60 right now, but we have not gotten into any real gameplay as of yet. Speakers sound pretty good actually. Of course you can control the volume up here. That's super loud, but well, I'm not turning volume down. And what now? Can we get into some gameplay? No.
Once there was an explosion, a bang which gave birth to time and space. Once there was an explosion, a bang which set a planet spinning in that space.
Okay.
Once there was an explosion, a bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion.
I guess there were some explosions. It's at 60 FPS, but we are still not to see any kind of gameplay. Gameplay! Well, very crazy. Let's try this. What? It's very hard to see actually the text, but left trigger grab. Okay, so depending on your trigger, you just need to grab it with left or your right hand. The right button to scan. Okay. So I guess I should go around this red stuff here. We're looking at like 45, 50-ish frames per second. Actually pretty playable, I would say. Actually the controller feels very nice. The joystick there. Can it go a little faster, maybe? Okay, A, can't jump. Okay, A to climb continuously. There's a cave there. Okay, finally some gameplay again. Some long cutscenes there. I'm not really a big fan of that. But you can see we're kind of looking at that mid 40-ish frames per second. But let's try actually see if we can enable FSR and if we can get some better frame rates. Okay, so I've tried to enable it here, but still seem to be disabled. Maybe you have to enable it before you get into some gameplay. So let's just continue here, walking this suitcase back to base, I guess. But man, it does look quite nice actually, and does feel very fluid rather, considering you have that much to draw, long distance stuff to draw. Quite impressive. Another suitcase. Carry on back, let's do that. Let's actually grab it in the left hand. Man, it does feel quite nice. That surprised me a little bit, it's running that smooth, even though it's in the mid 40s. I suppose when you use FSR or something like that, you will see a lot better frame rates. You can get it close to log 60 with power and log 30 with battery. I will definitely be happy with that. I was impressed that we can keep up to close 50 FPS. Was that the last back we got there? I guess so. Let's go down to that area down there. Seems to be something over there, isn't there? Or is it just me? Ah, okay, that's just that limiter there. So I guess if you're behind that wall there, then you're safe or what?
Beginning scan. Cargo verified.
Cargo verified. Off limit. Let's try it. Probably gonna die. No. I can't get in there. Maybe I need to go through here. Ah, it seems to be my home base here. And hold down X. Delivery. I'm not sure what I'm doing here.
Delivering cargo.
And then we get a hologram, a little completed progress thingy there. Press A to skip next, skip. Yeah. Let's just move on here. Definitely playable on the Steam Deck. Actually quite playable. Surprised me a little bit how smooth it feels, how nice the control feels as well. Let's just try a thing here. Let's try and put it to sleep. And let's just try and resume afterwards, which is one of the nice features with this one here. And the fan did spin off right there. Let's try and resume. Yeah, it definitely does resume right where we left off. And let's try and press the menu button here so we can pause the game. And the button up here does something in game as well. And I guess you could go home here as well. And at the same time, should still be playing the game. So you can jump back and forth between the menu system and of course the game you're actively playing. So this game definitely have some long cutscenes, at least in the beginning of the game. So it took forever to get to this point. But anyways, you can see like the CPU temperature. It did get up to around the 80 degrees, 81 degrees from time to time. The GPU around 74, 75 degrees. It is an APU, so the CPU and GPU is on the same die, of course. So this should be in relatively within the same degrees. But it hit 80 degrees. Definitely, I feel like that's fine for a device like this. It's a very small, compact device, of course. So you must expect a little bit higher temperatures. But other than that, the gameplay was actually quite good. Better than expected, and I actually look quite forward to get into gaming some more with this device here. I feel like games like this and other similar games open world games, definitely a fantastic device for that. Maybe it's a little bit of first person shooters as well, but we'll try much more games in the foreseeable future, and of course get back to with a decent review of this device here. So this pretty much just been a first look unboxing video of the Steam Deck retail here in Europe. And of course you just exit the game like that. Very nice. I really like the system. Easy to use, fast and fluid. I have had no issues as of yet, but of course I've just only really unboxed it and set it up. But it does feel very fluid, very fast. Gameplay was actually better than expected, even though it didn't hit the steady 60 FPS. It was like in the mid 40s, 50ish FPS, definitely sufficient. I feel like for a device like this, 60 would have been nice. But I believe if I enable FSR, I should be able to get a little bit higher frame rate. But for some reason I enabled it in game, but it still said disabled when I looked at the overlay. So I'm not really sure if it was enabled. Didn't really do anything for the frame rate at least. So I suppose I kind of have to maybe enable this before I enter the game. The FSR if I want to use it, I suspect. But yeah, I haven't really looked into that. The fan definitely do kick on and it does get quite loud, but not uncomfortably loud. It doesn't have any whiny noise or anything like that. It's just, at least to my ears and my initial impression here, just pure fan noise, like wind noise going through. So airflow being sucked in, of course. Here on the back it sucks in air right down there, and of course blow it out the top here. And I do kind of feel the warm air get out of the top. But the rest of the device actually feels cool to the touch. The controllers feels relatively cool to the touch. Of course, I haven't really been playing hours and hours on this device yet, at least, so I can't really say. But as of now, playing a relatively high demanding game here for an hour or so. We have played it for 53 minutes because of those long ass cutscenes. Definitely took a lot of time getting into gameplay on this game here, but definitely still feels cold. Not cold to the touch, but not warm either. For those grips there, probably just my fingers or my hands actually warm those up. Let's try and remove the power plug there and see if the fan will actually spin down a little bit. I suspect it will get into some kind of a battery saving or battery optimized mode once you disable power. And right now it's estimating around 8 hours of battery life, or 7.5 hours, but of course I'm not doing anything other than just being inside the Steam OS. So yeah, my first impression of this device, definitely good. I'm glad that I ended up ordering mine anyways. Like I said, I was a little bit hesitant actually buying it once my pre-order was ready, once the device was ready for order. But I'm glad I actually did so, and I hope I will end up using this more than I did with my other handheld devices, because it is like more towards a PC gaming device, so relatively powerful. It can play pretty much all the Steam games, at least most of them you will probably end up being able to play it. My only really concern is if this hardware really holds up with time. Like there is some minor gripes, like only one USB Type-C. The screen is fine enough, not super color saturated, but fine enough I would say, but it doesn't support any variable refresh rate, which is a little bit of an oversight of a device like this when you consider like most smartphones today, like my Samsung and iPhone, does have variable refresh rate on their screens. And would have been nice with like a little bit easier connection on the bottom here for like some poker pins, in my opinion. For instance, like this Samsung tablet here, so you can just get a dock and dock it into the dock with those poker pins. You don't have to use the plug on the top for charging, for data and so on. Would have been nice with if they had included a dock like that, so you can just click it in place and play on the big screen TV on a monitor, kind of like the Switch. But yeah, unfortunately we don't have that as of yet. Of course, Steam will release a dock you can connect to this plug here and kind of rest it inside, and you have a little cable you plug into this plug there, which is fine enough, but I feel like they could have done a little bit more. And I'm also a little nervous to see if it will actually get support, long-term support, if they will end up selling enough of these devices here and it will be popular enough and stable enough and so on, that they will actually end up continually supporting this device in the foreseeable future. Maybe we'll see a second generation in a year time or so, fixes some of the like slight issues this device have. I hope we'll see that long-term support with this device, because it definitely has great potential. So this was an unboxing, first impression video, setup video. Definitely, first impressions are very good. I really like this right out of the bat. Any questions, of course, put them down in the comment field below. Else, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope to see you again in a future one. Until then, take care.